if Kawhi does ultimately choose the Lakers, as Perk is indicating there, how would it change how we see him? Because every big step for these guys is part of their story.
Right.
And what he did with the Raptors this past season changed how we saw him, right? A lot of people are like, oh, Kawhi Leonard, man, right? Who weren't talking about him as the top 3 player in the league, now suddenly are.
Right.
How will it change again if he comes to the Lakers?
See, I have a problem with the question because you're asking me how everyone else is going to perceive him doing this. I can't predict what other people are going to feel. I know that my feelings about Kawhi Leonard have never changed. Since San Antonio, I've always felt he was a top 3 player. The injury was unfortunate. He gets traded to Toronto. I said, if he's healthy, he goes right back to that top 3 status. He was healthy. He went to that top 3 status. People killed him for load management. People said, oh, they're 15-5 or whatever when he didn't play. How good is he really? And then he did what he did in the playoffs, and now everyone wants someone to come around. So I guess conventional wisdom is people are going to be angry that he teams up with guys in LA. But to me, it's called free agency for a reason, and he doesn't know anybody squat, right? two teams he's played for, 2 rings. Y'all don't get to say anything, so he gets to do whatever he wants.
Is it different from the KD situation where people got so angry because of what Amin just said? He's the one who's bringing him and his 2 rings with him.
Yeah, I think also people are getting used to guys moving around now.
Yeah.
The players have the power, right? It used to be when you negotiate your contract, you wait to hear back from the owner. Now the owners are waiting to hear back from the players, and they're not even getting meetings with some of these guys. And Kawhi, look, his status as a player is not going to change. And I think his demeanor has a lot to do with it, too. He's a very low-key. Look, it's a miracle. No one knows what's going on with him, right? He's keeping it so quiet.
Unbelievable.
I think that has a lot to do with perception. And just look at the difference in Kevin Durant. He made his own, personal decision to go to Brooklyn. In the Bay Area, they're like, thank you for coming. Thank you for all you did for us.
Right.
And good luck in your next venture.
Yeah, I mean, I did see that press release they released yesterday was not in Comic Sans, Nick.
So and they're going to retire his jersey.
Things have changed. They're not going to retire his jersey. Do you think people will see Kawhi differently? And I don't mean good or bad. Again, I just mean different. It's interesting that someone's story changes every time they make a big change in their life. That's why we want to watch it and talk to them. If he joined the Lakers, he'd be joining a team. This would be the first time he'd be with sort of 3 equivalent stars, right? I mean, he played for a very loaded team in San Antonio, but he was in a different position then as the young guy. And I don't know how his touches and shots and all of that will change if he teams up with 2 other guys.
Rach, he's earned the right to do whatever he wants. He's earned that with 2 rings. And I think the key to what Mullin is saying is, look, this is a guy who comes out and isn't interested in the self-image stuff. He's not interested in stirring the pot media-wise and discussing his future and talking about what may happen. He goes out, he plays, he wins, and he takes care of business. And for fans, especially for people in the league, there are so many people that respect the hell out of that. In 2019, with all the social media and all the reporter connections all over the place, nobody seems to have a clear read on what Kawhi Leonard wants to do. That's incredible in this day and age. So he's earned the power and the respect to do anything he desires.
The funny thing is, if he ends up being a Laker, how is it going to shake out? Because as we've said before, we say things in July that are easy to say. I'll take the back seat, no problem. But we've seen in the past, whether it was Chris Bosh, whether it was Kevin Love, taking the back seat is a lot harder to do in November, December, January than it is to say in July and August.
I mean, don't you think the guy saying it in this meeting, if it's happening, is LeBron?
He might. I mean, I'm saying he's saying it, and he might even mean it. But that has a different connotation when you start playing basketball and you realize what the third banana really means, which means that there's a lot of times where I don't have as much control on the game as I'm accustomed to having. All 3 of those guys have had pretty much their run of the roost in their individual situations up until now.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.